This is what happens when you DIY your own refurb projects.
Oh, shit.
And that was me and my brother Dan installing a damp-proof course on our buy-to-let property. And it was an absolute disaster. Water was pissing out everywhere and us scrambling around trying to find the stopcock. Then we got a lovely, expensive bill from our plumber. And that was one of many what have we done moments when we started investing in property. Trying to save a couple of quid by doing stuff ourselves. Classic schoolboy mistake. Now, if I could go back and start from scratch, knowing what I know now, I'd do things very differently. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I do step by step so you don't make the same mistakes I did. I've got 2 investment properties now, a buy-to-let and a HMO. I still work full-time in oil and gas, and I'm building this property business on the side. So if you like the sound of that situation, make sure you subscribe and let's get into the video. Before I get into the steps, let me tell you about the mistake almost every single person makes, including me. They get all excited about property investing, they start looking on Rightmove, and they start running numbers on imaginary deals. And they start watching loads of YouTube videos like this one, and they think they're making progress. But they haven't actually done anything. Months go by, years go by, and there's still no properties and no progress. It's called analysis paralysis, and it's an absolute killer. I did this, I spent months learning, reading, watching, going to networking events, and I felt super productive. But it wasn't really productive because I wasn't getting anywhere. And I wasn't getting any closer to owning any properties. At some point, you have to accept that there's a risk involved and you just need to get on with it. So here's my rule. Learn enough not to be dangerous and then push the button. You'll learn way more from doing your first deal than from your 50th YouTube video, apart from this one. So now we've got that, let's get actually into step 1. Now step 1's going to sound obvious, but most people still skip it, and it's build your war chest. Now I don't mean save up for 10 years, I mean get your foundation solid before you buy anything. And I think there's 3 main things to do. Number 1, clear any high interest debt. Credit cards, personal loans, whatever it is. You can't build wealth with poor credit whilst you're bleeding 25% interest on a Barclays card. Number 2, have an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses in a savings account, because stuff always goes wrong. Boilers break, tenants leave, so you always need a buffer so you're not stressing. And number 3, get your deposit ready. Now here's what I actually did. Me and my brother didn't save for years. We pulled 25 grand each out of our own homes by remortgaging them. So we had a 50k pot to work with within a couple of months. But a lot of people say save up for a deposit, and that's fine, but we just didn't have time. We didn't want to wait. So we used equity we already had to make progress. The point here is you need to get creative, but don't skip these foundations. A mentor once told me early on, never do a deal which can take the clothes off your back. And that stuck with me. And I'll say it again. Never do a deal which can take the clothes off your back. You want to build wealth, you don't want to blow up. Now step 2, and this is where most people mess up, get your structure right before you buy anything. If I was starting today, I'd 100% set up a limited company from day 1. Not even a question. Now we did this because our accountants had told us to do it, and it was some of the best advice we got. And this is the main reason why. Since 2017, there's been a policy called Section 24, and it was an absolute stinker of a policy for landlords. If you own property in your personal name, you can't deduct your mortgage interest from your rental income anymore as an expense, which means you get taxed on the money you haven't actually made. Now let that sink in. Taxed on money you haven't made. Inside a limited company, mortgage interest is still a normal business expense. So it's a completely different tax treatment. Now I've got a whole video breaking down the 8 anti-landlord policies and how I've structured my business around them. So I'll link that at the end of this video. But the point is here, talk to a property savvy accountant before you buy anything. Not your mate that's done some tax returns on the side, someone who actually understands all of the variables with property structures. Get this wrong and you're going to be kicking yourself for a couple of years. Step 3 is build your team, or as I like to think about it, assemble your fellowship. Yes, I'm a massive Lord of the Rings nerd, but bear with me. You can't do this property investing thing alone. Property investing is 100% a team sport, and the quality of your team will make or break your deals. Frodo had Sam, Gandalf and Aragorn. You need a pretty extensive list of people. An accountant, ideally one who specializes in property. A mortgage broker, someone who does investment mortgages, not just residential. A solicitor, one who won't take 6 months to do a simple transaction, and if you find a good one, let me know because I'm not sure they exist. A builder, for when you need to do a refurb, and an insurance broker to make sure all your properties are insured. Now I can hear you asking, how do you find these people? Well, it comes back to recommendations. That's the secret in property really. Get into property networks, Facebook groups, local meetups, and ask people who they use. Get their names. And the honest truth is, you're gonna have bad experiences with some professionals. It happens to everyone. You just need to vet them as best you can, test them on the smaller stuff, and then swap them out when they're inevitably rubbish. For example, my accountant has been absolutely gold. One of the best recommendations I've got. Everyone else, there's pros and cons, but you figure out who's solid over time. Start building these relationships now, even before your first deal, and when it comes up, your fellowship is ready to take that ring to Mordor. Now, quick one, if you've got capital sitting around and you'd rather have someone else do all of the work for you whilst you get exposed to property deals, well, that's exactly what I'm looking for from a JV partner. So there's a link in the description to our joint venture waitlist, so fill that in and we can have a conversation to see if it's going to work. Now, step 4 is pick your strategy. And my advice, for the love of God, keep it simple. There's buy-to-lets, HMOs, serviced accommodation, flips, rent-to-rent, commercial developments. It's pretty overwhelming, to be honest. But here's what I did. Buy to let first. Why? Because it's simple. When you're starting out, you're already going to be learning a million different things. Mortgages, refurbs, tenants, legal stuff. You don't really need to add any more complexity on top of that. Think about it like learning to drive. You don't start off in a Ferrari, you start off in a Corsa. Learn the basics, then upgrade. Our first buy-to-let was our Corsa. Nothing fancy, but it taught us the fundamentals. And it taught us how to drill through a water pipe as well. Then we did a HMO second. Why? Because we wanted more cash flow. The buy-to-let was ticking along nicely, making a couple of £100 a month, but it wasn't going to replace our salaries anytime soon. HMOs just make more money. It's simple as that. Now, it is worth pointing out, I actually did serviced accommodation before any of this, and that was on a rent-to-rent basis. And here's what I learned. SA is a complete operating business, not an investment. You're basically running a hospitality operation, a hotel basically. And that's fine if you want that sort of business. But if you want to build a portfolio of assets, I'd start with buy-to-let and then move to HMOs. As well as this, most HMO lenders want to see landlord experience anyway before they'll give you a mortgage. So doing a buy-to-let first isn't just simpler, it's often necessary. And step 5 is the fun bit, actually go out and buy something. And here's what we did. It wasn't really that fancy. We found our first buy-to-let on Rightmove. Yes, Rightmove. The same Rightmove everyone else uses. There was no direct to vendor stuff, no secret sourcing strategies, just Rightmove. And honestly, when you're starting out, I'd recommend the same for your first deal. Like I said before, you're learning so much already, you don't need to overcomplicate it and spend good money after bad money on not really making progress. Now, it did take time. We probably viewed 50 properties before we bought one. 50, and there were some absolute stinkers in there. One place I walked in and the ceiling was literally hanging off, and the estate agent was stood there like, just needs a bit of TLC, mate. And I thought, yeah, I think it needs knocking down, lad. Another one, there was a mattress on the floor, and I'm pretty sure there was a needle and a drug dealer's phone still buzzing during the entire viewing. But yeah, 50 viewings, 8 months in, it was an absolute slog. So don't expect to find your first deal in a week and then be driving a Lambo by the end of the month. That's not the reality. Be patient, be persistent, and keep looking. And we were looking in a good area because we're from our investment area on the Wirral. So we knew the good streets and the dodgy ones. And having that local knowledge in your investment area is massive. We thought it was a good price when we bought it, but in hindsight, we probably overpaid, which again is another schoolboy move. But here's the thing with property. A high purchase price is like a bad haircut. It grows out over time. The longer you hold it, the less the initial price matters. Values go up, rents go up, and it sorts itself out. The important thing is we actually bought something. We were on the ladder, and everything since is just built on top of that. Now, do you remember the water pipe at the start of this video? That was because we were trying to do our refurbs ourselves to save money. Now, we both worked full time, so could only do stuff on evenings and weekends. And a 6-week refurb turned into a couple of months. And there was no rent coming in during this time, and we still had all of the costs, especially the ones drilling through a water pipe. So the reality is the net was it cost way more than it should have because we were doing the refurb ourselves. And if I was to do it again, I'd just pay a builder and get it done properly within 6 weeks and move on with my life. Lessons learned the hard way. So my advice to you would be, unless you're a builder, don't do the refurbs yourself. Your time is worth more, especially when you're still working full time. So if I was starting from scratch today, here's exactly what I do. Number 1, build your war chest and lay your foundations. Clear debt, have your emergency fund, and get your deposit ready. Don't skip these foundations. Number 2, get your structure right. Limit a company from day 1, but speak to your accountant. Number 3, build your fellowship to destroy that ring. Accountant, broker, solicitor, builder. Start now, recommendations are everything here. Number 4, pick a simple strategy. I'd advise buy to let first. Learn the basics, upgrade later. Number 5, find and buy your first deal. Rightmove's fine, view lots, be patient, make lots of offer, don't do the refurb yourself. You don't need to be rich to be start, and you don't need years of experience. You just need to ultimately take that first step. So if you want to understand more about buy-to-let versus HMOs and which strategy makes more sense for you in your situation, I break down the actual maths using my own deals in this video on the screen now. And if you want to follow along as I build my portfolio, the deals, the numbers, the cock-ups, drilling through pipes, make sure you subscribe because I'm going to be dropping new videos every single Monday. And I'll see you in the next one.